Hey, I'm Sophia, and when I was a kid, me and my family always took trips to the beach. I can still remember how much I loved building sand castles and playing with those cute little crabs. However, one day, I suddenly felt dizzy and noticed that I was completely covered in rashes and hives. I got scared and ran to my mom to tell her that something was wrong. However, my throat was so swollen that I couldn't even speak. My parents saw that I was suffocating and rushed me to the hospital. Luckily, the doctors were able to save my life. But a few hours later, I got diagnosed with solar urticaria, or sun allergy. It means that whenever UV light rays hit my skin, I get rashes that burn like fire. To make things worse, my sun allergy is so extreme that I can't leave the house unless it's nighttime, or unless I'm wearing a big sweatshirt that covers all of my skin. You can imagine how my whole life changed in an instant. The worst thing was going to school, because all my classmates could play on the schoolyard while I had to stay inside my classroom with the curtains closed. I felt so lonely, and I couldn't even go to the cafeteria to eat with my classmates because it had such big windows and no curtains. Suddenly, I was a complete loner without friends. I guess that's why I hated school, but life at home wasn't perfect either. I had to spend a lot of time with my evil brother. We hated each other, and he always told me that my sun allergy was ruining our family because we couldn't go camping or go to the beach anymore. I also had nightmares where I tried to run away from the sun, but it would follow me into our basement. Once the sun rays hit me, rashes would form on my arms, with blue slime coming out of them, and then I would slowly melt like a snowman on a beach. But most of the time I spent laying in bed crying and wondering if any guy would ever be willing to date a misfit like me. I was about to give up on life, but then my brother had his 13th birthday. My parents asked him if he had any wishes, and he said his only wish was to go back to the beach. My parents got mad at him and told him to be considerate of my sun allergy and to stop talking about the beach. But he started crying, pointed at me, and said I was an evil vampire that was scared of the sun and tried to suck the blood out of our family. I remember feeling so terrible afterwards that I went to my mom and asked if she could bring me to a foster home because I didn't want to be a burden to our family anymore. Luckily, I have the greatest mom in the world, and she said that she would never ever leave me because she just loves me too much. I guess that's exactly what I needed to hear. Because the next day, I decided once and for all to stop being a victim of my sun allergy and to finally take control of my life again. I joined an indoor hockey team to make new friends. I bought a telescope and took my family out to the beach and watched the stars at night. And I stopped thinking of my sun allergy as something bad that happened to me. And instead, I started to think of it as something good that happened for me and that made me become a stronger person. Now I'm in college and people here are much more understanding. Some even think it's cool that I have a sun allergy. And there was one cute guy who approached me and said he always wanted to date a good-looking vampire like me. And I've also decided that if I should ever get married, that it will be during a solar eclipse, because that would be so romantic. I guess it sounds crazy, but at this point in my life, I'm truly grateful for my sun allergy. It taught me that the events in our lives don't control us, but that it's all about how we react to those events. The first 2 years after I developed my sun allergy, I couldn't stop pitying myself, and I spent every night crying myself to sleep and wondering why life was so unfair to me. However, now I've realized that complaining about things you can't control doesn't make sense. It's a waste of time and energy. Instead, I try to only focus on those things that I do have control over, like studying for school or having a good time with my family, playing board games and making jokes. I just want to thank you for listening to my story. I hope you learned something from it. And please don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more animated stories.
My best friend Stacy and I were hiking through the mountains. That's all I remember. When I woke up, I couldn't move my body. I only heard my parents cry. The doctor said she's brain dead. She will never wake up. Stop saying that. The doctors could be wrong. Then my boyfriend Francis visited me. I know you can't hear me, but I'm breaking up with you. Tomorrow would have been our 3rd-year anniversary, but I can't give up my future for you. I'm sorry, it's over. Wow, I was in a coma for a week and my boyfriend already dumped me? I wanted to stand up and punch him into a coma too, but it was hopeless. Just to feed me, doctors had to push a tube down my gullet, and it hurt so much. But then came the big shocker. Stacy finally visited me. Maybe she would tell me what happened during our hike. There you are, looking beautiful as always. She sounded so creepy I got goosebumps. The doctors say you were brain dead. That's too bad. All those years you had the perfect life. Beauty, good grades, a handsome boyfriend. But then you had an accident. Someone accidentally pushed you down a cliff. You hit your head against a rock and fell into a coma. Some call it tragic, but I think you got what you deserved. All those years I had to listen to you brag about going to parties and meeting guys. Why did you never invite me? Oh yeah, I'm just your boring best friend. Well, last week I met up with your ex-boyfriend Francis and we kissed. This Friday, he's coming over for a sleepover. He really loves me. Wow, had I been such a bad friend that I deserved to be pushed down a cliff? No. The reason I didn't take Stacy to parties was that she always picked fights with other girls when she got drunk. Now her craziness has ruined my life and she didn't show one bit of remorse. For weeks I dreamed of breaking into her house and taking revenge. She should be as miserable as I was. But if life couldn't get any worse, my mom came and screamed at me the next day. I wish you were dead. You're ruining our lives. Stop it. She's still our daughter and I won't give up on her. Yes, because you're a freaking loser. You spend all your money on doctors to try and save her, even though she's brain dead. Now we're poor and in debt. I hate this life. I hate you, and I hate her. Fine, then go. We don't need your negativity. No problem. I'll send you the divorce papers tomorrow. My mom never came back to visit me, and I felt so guilty, like it was my fault my parents split up. If I could have ended my life, I would have done it, so my dad could move on. But instead he hired a new doctor, a leading expert on coma patients. He did a PET scan to measure how much sugar my brain was using and concluded I wasn't brain dead. My dad was even able to ask me questions. If I wanted to answer yes, I had to imagine throwing a baseball so the monitor would light up. But I didn't tell them that Stacy had pushed me down the cliff. The doctor said I would soon wake up from my coma anyway. And I wanted to take revenge on Stacy myself. But then someone came into my room. But who was it? I don't know if you were awake during our last conversation, but you better understand that no one will believe you. I realized it was Stacy and she started pinching my arm. Tell anyone about what happened and you will regret it badly. I wanted to scream. I wanted to attack her, but I was trapped in my body. It was like a nightmare. It took another year before I finally woke up from my coma. Stacy came to congratulate me, and I pretended to be overcome with joy to see her. Fake tears and everything. If I wanted to take revenge, I had to gain her trust first, and I think she bought the act. Meanwhile, my mom visited me too. Hey babe, how are you? What do you want? I want to see my daughter. You abandoned me and Dad in our darkest hour. I know I messed up, but can you give me another chance? No, I saw on Facebook that you have a new husband. Leave him first before you talk to me again. She did just that. It took 12 months for her to get a legal divorce, but when she showed me the papers as proof, I said, oops, never mind. I still don't want you back. I hope I've destroyed your life now like you destroyed Dad's. I haven't spoken to her since. And what happened to Stacy? Well, for months I had murderous revenge fantasies, but no way would I go to prison for her. Instead, I told her boyfriend Francis that Stacy pushed me down a cliff. He didn't quite believe it, but agreed to an experiment. We hid a microphone in his room and waited until Stacy came to make out with him. Then I accidentally sneezed and came out of the wardrobe. Whoops, this is so embarrassing. What are you doing here? Did you sleep with my boyfriend? Your boyfriend? The one you pushed me off a cliff to get? Because you couldn't do it on your own? I hoped so bad she would admit to her crime right then and there, but she was too smart and left without saying a word. I just hope she won't hurt any more people.